Simon Gatto from SoftComply.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about how your team experience has been?
So far, it's been great. Team is, and it continues to be the best place to meet all of the partners in the ecosystem in one place at the same time.
Yeah.
And customers.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, Simon, I have a lot of questions for you today. Feel free to talk as much as you want to about anything. And my first question is going to be, how do you reconcile the iterative, fast-paced nature of Agile development with the frozen state requirements often found in traditional data governance and compliance?
That's an excellent question, and I think that's the question that most of the customers and partners are trying to figure out now. I think there's no doubt that people want to use AI and think robo's an exciting evolution. The question is, are they able to use it safely?
Okay.
And is there ways to manage it in an effective way? Obviously, we deal with risk management and governance, so part of our solution can help with that.
Yeah.
But it's going to continue to, I think, to be a big topic until there are some additional safeguards in place.
Okay.
So there's a number of customers we've spoken with in regulated industries that said, I'd love to use it, but I can't use it yet.
Okay.
So we need to know that there's auditability, traceability, where the data is coming from. So I think that the question hasn't been answered yet.
Okay.
How to reconcile it. You can reconcile it to some degree. If you're managing your risks, you can take on the risks, but there's certain things that you cannot risk, especially when you start talking about safety compliance, medical devices, things like that, where it's people's health is underlined. They're not able to assume certain risks, but there are certain things that they can experiment with.
Okay.
And again, as long as they're managing their risks effectively, they can push the boundaries a bit, but there's still a lot of questions as far as how safe is it, how controlled can it be, and I think Atlassian's doing a lot right now for that, but there's still a lot of questions.
Okay, so in a perfect world that would be answered already, but is there like a time frame that we think is going to get us there, or no?
That's up to Atlassian.
Okay.
I mean, I think they understand the requirements, they understand the need. So it's not that it's an unknown, and I think this year is actually they're pushing a lot. Last year was just Rovo, it's so cool, it's AI. This year it's like, hey, it's so cool, it's AI, it's also safe. So they're doing a lot of work to try to say we can lock things down. What type of information is going to be flagged? Where is the data coming from? So they understand. It's just it's a lot of work.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, next question. In your experience, who should own data governance within a Y framework? The quality assurance team, the product owners, or the engineering lead?
Everybody.
All of them.
Everybody is part of it. And the reason why we built our tools the way we did is we built it in Jira and Confluence because that's where people work. The problem with most governance is that they think about it once a year at audit time. Oh my God, there's a fire drill. The auditors are coming. And it's done in some tool somewhere else or in a spreadsheet where when you bring it into the tools that the teams are using, like Jira and Confluence, it becomes part of everybody's everyday place. There's risks that are associated with Jira work items that are assigned to an owner. So it really has to be everybody. If it's just one, obviously the ultimate ownership typically comes down to the compliance team. That's their purview, but it has to be everybody. If it's not something that's shared amongst all of your teams that they're thinking about, then it's much more difficult to have an effective strategy.
Okay, that makes sense. I didn't expect that answer. I thought you were going to give like maybe just one of them, but I like that. Yeah. Oh, okay. Next question. When implementing a data governance policy, how do you decide which data sets require high-touch compliance? Like, for example, you talked about health records, versus those that can follow a more light-touch path?
It usually depends on the content.
Okay.
So absolutely, I mean, there's regulations that just if you're an industry, you have to maintain ISO SOC 2 1345. So it often has to do with the type of data, obviously. If it's personal information, things like that, more heavily regulated. If it's casual, then usually they don't. So, but there's often, it's not, most companies don't have to decide on their own what they govern.
Okay.
They're told. Because usually it's government mandated or it's because of the industry they're in. They have to follow these to run their businesses. So it's not a question of like, what should we govern? It's like, it's part of the standards and it's a matter of how do we do it effectively.
Okay. So that makes sense. All right, I got about 3 more questions for you. All right.
Go for it.
As we move toward AI-driven software, how does data governance change when the data isn't just stored, but it's actively training a model that evolves?
So if you're using AI for any sort of software development, and again, depends on what it is.
Yeah.
So a lot of our customers that are like in medtech and they're developing software, they don't want AI in it.
Okay.
So there's certain areas where they ask, hey, do you have AI in your tool? And we say no, and they say thank you. Because
Okay.
adding AI to certain types of software development is very risky.
Yeah.
Anything that requires any kind of a decision from a human, so there's human in the loop. There's a lot of things where you have to have somebody that's involved. So I think there will be a growing balance between what AI is able to provide. It definitely can do a lot, but there's certain things where certain decisions, it can't be up to AI. Or if the decisions are being made by AI, it has to be auditable and see, okay, well, it made this decision, and they can track it back. So, and again, it comes down to the type of software that you're developing. But I think more and more, everything's becoming regulated, whether it's cybersecurity or medtech. So, and I think it's going to become a balance. AI will be able to do a lot of it, and it will definitely cut down and make it a lot easier, but there will always be certain things that I believe will need a human to ultimately make a decision on to know that it's the right decision.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's going to be a balance.
Yeah. Okay. What is the biggest mistake, in your opinion, that teams make when scaling their data governance from a single product to a multi-product ecosystem?
The biggest mistake?
Yeah.
The biggest mistake might be making it into a multi-tiered product. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. I think where governance often fails is when it's separated from the day-to-day work.
Yeah.
So if you have, there's a lot of third-party apps, or a lot of people just use spreadsheets and Google Docs.
Yeah.
It's not super effective, and again, it becomes something that's just in a basement somewhere. Nobody's thinking about it except for the one poor compliance guy. Again, you bring it into a single, the Atlassian stack is a great place to do it. You can do it all in Jira, you can do it all in Confluence, everybody's already there. So it's the best way to be successful with your governance is to put it where people are already working.
Okay. I agree. All right. Last question. How can teams build quality gates into their CI/CD pipelines so that data governance becomes an automated habit rather than a manual chore?
Put it in Jira.
Okay.
Put it in Jira. I think that's the theme.
Okay.
Is if you build governance in as part of your day-to-day work on a tool that they're already using, it just becomes part of your day-to-day work.
Okay.
It's in a Jira work item that everybody already knows how to use. It's got its own life cycle. It's got its own owner. So it's not something that's completely separate or foreign to what they're doing. It's not a separate platform that people have to learn. They already know how to use Jira. So you build it in that way, it just becomes part of their everyday task.
Okay.
And they're always thinking about it, and it happens every day. My favorite saying that I've come up with, kind of, compliance isn't a sometime thing, it's an all-time thing.
That's a great last word.
So it's something that should be happening all the time, not just some of the time. And if you're using the right tools in the right place, it makes it very easy for your teams to use it.
Okay.
So
Thank you, Seibert.
of course,
That was very insightful.
I'm glad to help.